The Yellowstone universe isn't slowing down, it's evolving. And this time, the spotlight is firmly on Kayce Dutton. With Marshals, the gripping new spin-off centered on Kayce's next chapter, fans are finally seeing what happens when the cowboy-turned-warrior trades ranch life for a badge. But he's not riding into this new frontier alone. Several beloved Yellowstone veterans are returning, and they're joined by a fresh lineup of law enforcement heavyweights ready to shake up Montana. So which familiar faces are back? And who's joining the fight? Let's break down the full cast of Marshals and see how it connects to Yellowstone. Kayce Dutton leads the charge. Luke Grimes is Kayce Dutton. At the heart of Marshals is Kayce Dutton, a man constantly torn between duty and family, violence and peace. On Yellowstone, Kayce was a former Navy SEAL struggling to reconcile his military past with ranch life under John Dutton's shadow. In Marshals, he steps fully into a law enforcement role as a U.S. Marshal, using his combat training and moral code to pursue justice beyond the ranch gates. This isn't just a career shift. It's a transformation. Kayce's move into federal law enforcement opens the door for deeper exploration of his wartime trauma, his complicated sense of justice, his struggle to balance family and danger. Grimes brings the same quiet intensity fans loved in Yellowstone, but now with sharper edges and higher stakes. Returning Yellowstone veterans. One of the biggest questions surrounding the spin-off was simple: would any familiar faces return? The answer: absolutely. Gil Birmingham is Thomas Rainwater. The powerful chairman of the Broken Rock Reservation remains a central presence. Rainwater's return keeps the cultural and political threads of Yellowstone alive. His dynamic with Kayce has always been layered, rooted in mutual respect, tension, and shared history. In Marshals, that relationship takes on new dimensions as federal law enforcement intersects with tribal sovereignty and justice. Expect thoughtful storylines exploring jurisdictional complexity and moral gray areas. Mo brings plenty as Mo. Loyal, grounded, and spiritually steady, Mo continues to serve as an anchor in Kayce's world. Though not a full-time member of the Marshal team, Mo's presence bridges the spiritual and cultural backbone of the Yellowstone universe. His scenes often provide balance to Kayce's internal conflict. Fans of his quiet strength will be glad to see him back. Breckin Merrill is Tate Dutton. Kayce's son Tate returns, reminding viewers what's truly at stake. Tate's role in Marshals reinforces the emotional core of the series. Kayce may chase fugitives, but everything he does ultimately circles back to protecting his family. Their father-son dynamic remains one of the most heartfelt elements carried over from Yellowstone. The new Marshal team. While returning characters ground the series in familiarity, the new ensemble gives Marshals its identity. Logan Marshall Green is Pete Calvin. Pete is Kayce's former Navy SEAL teammate and the one who pulls him into the U.S. Marshal service. Battle-tested and blunt, Pete represents Kayce's past life in uniform. Their shared military history brings authenticity to the show's action sequences and brotherhood dynamic. Their bond isn't just professional, it's forged in combat. Ariel Kebbel is Belle Skinner. A former ATF agent with a sharp edge and sharper instincts, Belle adds firepower and unpredictability to the unit. She's confident, tactical, and unafraid to challenge authority, including Kayce's. Her presence introduces tension and sparks within the team, adding emotional complexity beyond procedural cases. Ash Santos is Andrea Cruz. Andrea Cruz brings a fresh perspective, a Bronx-born Marshal navigating Montana's rugged landscape. Her character arc centers on adaptation, resilience, and finding strength in unfamiliar territory. Through her, the show contrasts urban policing experience with frontier justice realities. She quickly becomes one of the team's most compelling voices. Tatanka Means is Miles Kittle. A former reservation officer turned U.S. Marshal, Miles embodies cultural and legal complexity. His presence allows the show to explore jurisdictional tensions between tribal land and federal authority, something Yellowstone touched on but never fully centered in law enforcement form. Miles and Kayce share common ground, and friction. Brett Cullen is Harry Gifford recurring. As a supervisory figure within the Marshal Service, Gifford brings institutional weight and authority. He represents the bureaucracy and political pressures that come with federal power, often clashing with Kayce's instinct-driven leadership style. Tone shift. From ranch drama to tactical action. Unlike Yellowstone, which revolved around land disputes and family power struggles, Marshals leans heavily into procedural storytelling. Expect high-risk fugitive pursuits, tactical raids, interagency conflicts, case of the week investigations. But make no mistake, this is still emotionally driven drama. Kayce's internal struggle remains front and center. The open landscapes of Montana remain a visual character in their own right, vast, unforgiving, and symbolic of moral ambiguity. How it expands the Yellowstone universe. Marshals doesn't replace Yellowstone, it expands it. By shifting the focus to federal law enforcement, the show explores the legal boundaries between state, federal, and tribal authority. The psychological toll of violence. Justice beyond family loyalty. It also deepens Kayce's identity outside of John Dutton's shadow. For years, Kayce operated as the reluctant son. Now, he defines himself on his own terms. Why fans are excited. The return of familiar characters ensures continuity. The introduction of a new, diverse team promises fresh dynamics. And Kayce, long considered one of the most layered Duttons, finally gets the standalone spotlight many felt he deserved. This isn't just another spin-off. It's a character study wrapped inside an action thriller. Final thoughts. The cast of Marshals strikes a deliberate balance between nostalgia and reinvention. Returning Yellowstone veterans like Luke Grimes and Gil Birmingham keep the emotional roots intact. Meanwhile, newcomers like Logan Marshall Green and Ariel Kebble push the series into bold territory. At its core, the show asks one central question. What happens when a man raised to defend land chooses to defend the law instead? For Kayce Dutton, the frontier isn't behind him. It's just changed shape.